Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of me trying to make the fictional world a little more real. Today I'm hopping back into my Where in the World series to take a look at the franchise that started it all for me, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. It's been a hot minute since I last looked at this game, and I know what you're thinking, but it's totally not because I originally had the game only because I borrowed it from my brother who lived next door, but then I moved and only recently bought the game when I saw it on sale for $40. That's totally not why this video hasn't gotten out sooner. But it's here now, so let's jump right into the world of Zelda and figure out what place we're gonna place today. If you haven't seen the previous videos, link in the description below. We've looked at two of the areas of Breath of the Wild's map so far, Gerudo Desert and Faron Woods. So this time, let's look at the most northwestern part, the Hebra Mountains and Tabantha Tundra, which, for the most part from here on out, I'm just gonna call Hebra. I'll leave Rito Village and the Frontier for another day, cause these two areas are pretty distinct. The Hebra region is a cold one. Just how cold we'll get into later, but it's easily one of, if not the coldest regions in all of Hyrule.
Oh, I'm so cold that I'm shivering.
And it's home to everyone's favorite pastime, catching some sweet air while avoiding responsibilities and Zelda.
When the beast regains its true power, this world will face its end.
Yeah, that's cool and all, Zelda, but I'm a little busy right now doing something very important. So where should you go if you want to avoid responsibilities like Link? Well, let's take a look. The first part of Hebra we're gonna look at is its geography, and this is essentially split into two sections, the mountains and the plains or tundra. The tundra is flat and barren, which is more important than it might seem. You see, a tundra is a flat, treeless Arctic region where the ground is permanently frozen, otherwise known as permafrost. This definition is important because for something to be classified as a tundra, it doesn't need to have year-round snow. In fact, when these areas experience their summer, low bushes can and usually do pop out of the ground. So this place being called a tundra could really influence where we put it on our map. Except for one thing. When you zoom in, you can see the tundra is split into two different areas. North Tabantha Snowfield and South Tabantha Snowfield. Why does this matter? Because by definition, a snowfield is a large amount of perennial or permanent snow, meaning snowfield is a better name for this than tundra, because this area is always covered with snow as far as we know. Aside from nomenclature, there's also Kopiki Drifts, which is a large depression, not that kind of depression, in the landscape. And other than these 2 points, the geography of this area is interspersed with, but mostly. So let's set our sights a bit higher now to the mountains. The Hebra Mountains region is essentially 4 peaks of varying height surrounding a basin. Those are the North and West Summit, Talanto Peak, and the granddaddy of them all, Hebra Peak. There's also things like crevasses, caves, large broken sections of snowpack, and interestingly enough, hot springs, which is our next focus. These so-called secret springs, which don't seem all that secret to me, but okay, are heated by geothermal activity. Underground water comes in contact with rocks that have been heated through the Earth's core of magma. This water then finds its way back up to the surface and pools into a spring. The presence of this means that there's almost definitely some form of volcanic activity going on underneath, which makes sense considering its neighbors. Heck, there's a decent chance one of Hebra's peaks could be a volcano in hiding, but that's not what I'm speculating about. Today at least. So instead, I think that'll just about do it for the geography of the region. We've got quite a laundry list of things we're looking to match. But before that, let's glide on over to climate. Disclaimer, I'll be basing the climate off the weather as I usually do. Normally this is not something you'd want to do. Weather is how things are today, tomorrow, or this month. Climate is how things are over a period of time, like years. So you could see how that might cause some issues, especially with things like seasons. But unfortunately, no matter how long you leave the game on, the time doesn't really progress. The blood moon doesn't count here. With that out of the way, what does Hebra's climate look like? Well, let's look at the 2 most common factors of climate, precipitation and temperature. It snows here, a lot. Shocker, I know. But I want more information than that. So I decided to figure out if it's really as snowy as I thought, or if it just seems that way at 2 a.m. and I really should be going to bed, but just have to see if that's a Korok seed or not. So I stood right here on Talanto Peak and waited 7 in-game days. That's about 24 minutes per day for close to 3 hours. And at the end of it all, I had the frequency at which it snowed for a whole week in the Hebra region. And oh boy, it snowed every single day. And while each snowstorm only lasted a few in-game hours at a time, it would often snow multiple times per day. Safe to say, there's a lot of precipitation here. But what about the second aspect of climate, the temperature? After walking all over the region and checking the temperature every couple of minutes, the high and low for the day are 14 degrees Fahrenheit in Sternina Basin and negative 42 in the Icefall foothills. The nighttime range is 8 degrees Fahrenheit and negative 59 degrees Fahrenheit in the same places. Yikes. At its lowest, these temperatures mean frostbite would set in as soon as 10 minutes. Sorry, Link. But with these temperatures, we now have everything we need to figure out its climate, which we'll do with our old friend Koppen. We've used this a few times now, but if this is your first time, in essence, this is a system widely used to classify climates, known as the Koppen Climate Classification System. Really kind of just spells it out for ya. Using precipitation and temperature, you can place an area on the scale pretty reliably. Except this time, we don't need precipitation. Wish I would have known that sooner. Instead, it all comes down to temperature. It's either polar or continental. But since all continental subclasses require months above 50 degrees Fahrenheit, and we're not getting that in Hebra, it's pretty obvious this is a polar climate. But which of the two subclasses is it? Our choices are tundra and ice cap, with the only difference being how warm it gets. A tundra climate will have at least 1 month with an average above freezing, while the ice cap does not. And seeing how none of our temperatures got above freezing, this area is looking like it's clearly in the ice cap climate. Except, ice cap climates cannot grow plants due to a permanent layer of ice, or permafrost, which does not describe this area. So for the first time, I'm gonna use more than one climate zone to help place this. Both of these areas share aspects of Hebra, with the tundra allowing for plants to grow, and the ice cap meeting its extreme temperatures. And that's it! I think we've got everything we need, so before I decide, let's review what real-life Hebra is gonna need. First, multiple high mountain peaks and large flat plateaus, hot springs, the whole thing covered in snow consistently, and in an area that has both tundra and ice cap climate zones. Quite the list to be sure, but I think I found a great real-world comparison. The famously disproportioned and misnomered country of Greenland. It fits the bill of Hebra quite well. It's got its fair share of tall peaks, and most of the area is a large, flat, snowy plateau. It falls within both the tundra and ice cap climate zones, and according to Greenland's tourist website, has plenty of hot springs to help replenish your hearts, ranging from not hot enough to bathe in, all the way up to 140 degrees Fahrenheit, and even has a 12,000 foot tall mountain peak in Gunbjorn.
Well, I can't read.
This place right here. Overall, I feel like it's a great fit. Now, if you want to freeze your, well, everything off, you know just where to go. Hey, thanks for watching that video. I couldn't find a place to fit this before, but Greenland also has a place called Disco Island, which I really enjoy and may or may not have influenced my decision in some way. Plus, look at this. There's people out here. You ever wonder how some people get by? Like, they must all be fishers, because the closest city I could find was way out here, which Google won't even let me navigate to. Man, I'm really on the fence between whether this would be great or not that great. It must be so quiet and peaceful, but also cold and far away from everything. But anyways, that's enough of my ramblings. I don't have a teaser for the next video, mostly because I'm about to go on vacation and I'm not sure which one I'm gonna work on next. But whatever it is, it should be out in a couple of weeks. So as always, I hope to see you there.